I had never used a dating app before, but I wasn't able to meet any women in real life being so busy with work and school. So last winter, I decided to create a Tinder profile. My roommate had made one and found a lot of success, so I figured why not. It was a Friday night, and I was home alone with nothing else to do and nowhere to be, so I took out my phone and made an account. I put up a few photos of myself and wrote a clever little bio in the box, then I submitted it. I then started swiping right on the face of pretty much every girl that popped up on my phone. I didn't know that there was a limit to how many times you could swipe right unless you paid to upgrade, so I was a bit disappointed when I got a notification saying I had run out of swipes. I set the phone down on the couch next to me and decided to play Xbox while I waited for a match. It felt like hours had passed until I heard the notification sound and the message on my phone saying, "Congratulations, you have a new match." I quickly picked up the phone to see who I had matched with. It was this really pretty blonde named Maddie. I remembered her because her picture was of her standing in front of a field of sunflowers. She had two other photos as well, one where she was standing in the sand at a beach, and another where she was hugging another girl at what looked to be a house party. Her profile said she was 19 years old, which was perfect because I was 20 years old. It turned out we were both attending the same college, too. I messaged her, "Hey," not really knowing what else to write. I was super worried because I figured she probably got the same message from 50 other guys a day. But to my surprise, she messaged me back not even a minute later saying, "Hi, handsome." My heart leapt in my chest as I messaged her back asking her how she was, and telling her it looked like we attended the same school. She messaged me back saying, "Oh yeah, that's really cool. How do you like it so far?" We went back and forth like this for the next 10 minutes, making small talk, until she texted me, "So, would you want to meet up tonight, handsome?" I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty excited. It seemed like this whole Tinder thing was actually working out for me, because I was totally about to have a date tonight. I messaged her back saying I would love to meet up tonight, and we exchanged phone numbers. I jumped up from the couch and pumped my fist into the air, pacing around my living room in excitement before I texted her. "Hey, it's Ryan," I wrote. She wrote back, "Hey, handsome, come on over," with her address underneath. I stopped pacing around long enough to punch her address into my map app, and it said it was only about a 10-minute walk from where I was. When I looked at the picture on the street view, it was a large white house surrounded by trees on either side. I figured it must have been some sort of off-campus housing. I texted her back that I was going to head out, and then I grabbed my jacket and put my boots on before walking out the door. The walk over was nice and quiet. Snow had begun falling and covered everything in a white blanket. When I got to the house, it looked a little different than how it did on the app. There were no lights on inside, and no car in the driveway. Something about it just gave off a creepy vibe, and that should have made me be a little more cautious. I stood on the sidewalk facing the house as I pulled out my phone and texted her that I was outside. She texted me back telling me to come inside. I got an uneasy feeling as I slowly started walking to the front door. I texted her again, asking if she could open the door for me, but she didn't respond. As I got to the front steps, I noticed 3 sets of footprints in the snow. One set was going up the steps to the front door, while the other 2 led around the house and to the back. I paused at the bottom of the steps and decided to follow one set of the footprints around the house. The footprints ended at the back door, which looked like it had been kicked in. There was a chunk of wood missing from the doorframe, and a large imprint next to the handle where someone likely struck it with their foot. That's when I heard a noise coming from inside the house. It sounded like a loud thud, like boots on a hardwood floor. As I was trying to look through one of the windows, I could see movement coming from inside the house. A slight vibration from my pocket made me look down and check my phone. There was a text from Maddie. "Are you coming, handsome?" it said. By this point, I was more than a little creeped out. I texted her back, telling her that I would feel a lot more comfortable if she would just come out first, and then I started walking back towards the front of the house. I had gotten maybe halfway to the front of the house when the figure of a large man appeared in front of me, blocking my path. I froze in place. "Look, I don't want any trouble," I said. The man just stood there in silence, not making a sound. I began to back up towards the back of the house. That's when the man in front of me started to take off in a sprint, heading directly towards me. I turned around and started to run towards the back of the house. As I got to the back, another man appeared, this one emerging from the darkness of the house. I was trapped, and now these two creepy men were both chasing after me. I ran across the backyard and jumped onto the fence, pulling myself over. As I got my waist to the top of the fence, I could feel one of the men grabbing my ankle and trying to pull me back down. I kicked back as hard as I could and felt my foot connect with something, probably the man's face. He let go and I fell onto the ground below, before getting up and sprinting through the woods back to my apartment. When I got home, I called the cops and waited for them to show up. When they did, I told them what happened and gave them the address. One of the officers left to go check it out, while the other stayed with me, asking to see Maddie's Tinder profile. I went back on the app, but was shocked to find that whoever was pretending to be Maddie had already deleted the profile. The best I could do was give the officer the number that I had been given. After that, the officer who had left to go check out the house radioed back that there was no one in the building, but that there were definitely signs of a break-in. After that night, I've decided to never use Tinder again, and only go on dates with people who I've met in real life. What really freaks me out, though, is knowing that whoever was pretending to be a girl on Tinder has my phone number and has seen my face. I haven't received any weird phone calls or messages, but now I'm always worried about who those men were and what they wanted with me. I've never used a dating app myself, but my friend Mike started using a couple of them after he and his girlfriend broke up last year. I know he was heartbroken because he really loved her, and because he was always wallowing in his depression. I started to feel really sorry for him and suggested he use a dating app like Tinder to see if he could find someone else he really liked to spend time with. After being reluctant at first, he finally agreed and downloaded the app. I should probably mention that Mike and I lived together in our dorm, and so I was always aware whenever he got a match on Tinder because I could hear the little chime that went off when two people swiped right on each other. Apparently, he had matched with someone that he thought was the hottest girl who had ever lived, and now he was messaging her. I shook my head and smiled to myself, happy that my friend was finding success in the dating world. He told me that he and the girl had a date scheduled for this upcoming Saturday, and he would be going to her house. When Saturday night rolled around, Mike got dressed and left our dorm, telling me he would let me know how the date went. I wished him good luck and started doing some of my mountain of homework. It wasn't until about midnight that I looked up from my work and glanced at my phone. There was no message from Mike, which was kind of weird. Usually he would let me know how these kinds of things went. I didn't think too much of it though, and just assumed that he had gotten lucky and spent the night at the girl's place. I decided it was time for me to get some sleep too, and flicked off the light before going to the bathroom to brush my teeth and wash my face. As I was doing that, I heard the door to my dorm open and close. I dried off my face and walked out of the bathroom. Mike was sitting on the couch, his face in his hands. "Hey, Mikey," I said. "Did you get lucky? You've been gone for a while." Mike didn't lift his face out of his hands. Instead, he just said, "No, I was the opposite of lucky tonight." I sat down in the chair across from him and asked him what happened. He finally lifted his head up and I could see a large purple bruise across his cheeks and a cut across his eyebrow. "Whoa, what the hell happened to you?" I said. Obviously, I wasn't expecting this. Mike sighed and then told me what had happened. Apparently, when he got to the girl's house, there were 3 cars in the driveway, but he just assumed that they belonged to her roommates, even though she never mentioned having any. When he got inside, he was immediately hit over the head with something heavy, and he fell to the ground. That's when 2 men came from either side of him and started to kick him and hit him. He told me that one of them grabbed his wallet while the other one took his phone out of his pocket before running out of the front door. He wasn't able to call the cops or anyone else for that matter, so he had to walk home because he didn't know what else to do. I sat there with my mouth hanging open. I told him that we had to call the cops and tell them what happened, and he told me that he didn't want to. He said he just wanted to wipe his phone remotely from his laptop and just move on from it. I asked him if he was sure, and he just nodded, saying he would be too embarrassed to tell the cops what had happened. I still don't use dating apps, but for anyone out there that does use them, I would encourage you to always be careful, let someone know where you're going, and only meet up in a public place if it's your first time meeting someone. Otherwise, what happened to Mike could happen to you.